actually the reason why we're here is not because of what took place on the 16th of January. It's not because a 23-year-old was raped. Because as we've been saying, unfortunately, the sad truth is that sexual violence is endemic. The reason why we're here is because it was picked up in mass protests, which were then picked up by the media.
I think when we need to be critical about what the media is feeding us. That many Indian women, against their wishes, are married off, that their mothers-in-law burn them alive, and that they get acid thrown into their faces is largely unfamiliar here, and here being the Netherlands, unquote. The article goes on, it gets worse and worse and worse, and ends up with sati. So we're right back in the 19th century, right? We know these debates. So all of these Orientalist tropes are circulating rapidly.
The US reporting on it stated as though it was shocking that only 25% of rape cases result in a conviction, whereas in the US, only 25% actually even result in an arrest.
On the other hand, I think another sort of complicated factor in the media coverage is this war statistics, right? Actually, every 20 minutes somebody in Delhi, every, 15 seconds somebody said, in Brazil, well, actually, there's so many convictions here and there, but there's so many convictions only here. And actually, what we learn, what we know about sexual violence is that it's massively underreported. We do not know how many women get raped per minute in any particular place.
It's going on all the time in huge quantities, but perhaps more commonly, far more commonly, between people who are known to one another. This particular episode has been used in rather different ways to control women and their mobility. And one of the northern state governments in India has decided in response to this episode that women should not work evening and night shifts. So it's women who have to behave in a different sort of way. I think there's a real danger again with this sort of case of panicking women into not going outside because outside is dangerous. Well, actually, it's inside that's pretty dangerous as well.
In Toronto a few years ago, the police chief was giving a talk at a university about sexual violence, and he said to everyone there, you know, maybe if you didn't dress like sluts, this wouldn't happen. As far as I know, this was the genesis of actually the slut walk campaign that initiated.
Glasgow city councillor who was quoted as saying a nine-year-old rape victim wanted the incident. Another incident where a lawyer in Glasgow described gang rape victims as lolitas. And another proposal, which has been more recent by an MP in Bedfordshire, Nadine Dorris, who called for a mandatory abstinence-based sex education only for girls, because they are the ones who have to who ensure that they do not transgress, that they do not exercise their agencies and are able to say no. So I think this indicates the level of, how these attitudes are just pervasive everywhere and not only restricted to a particular country or context.
What we need as women is not protection. It's they are sharing the responsibility because they also want to live in this violence-free world.
The kind of demands, very specific demands that were made at these protests, one definitely was the need for ensuring greater dignity and autonomy for women. I think that again these are new words that are coming into our lexicon. Words like dignity, words like autonomy, words like freedom.
Social movements, they render power visible. They challenge our taken for granted assumptions about the world. They challenge things that happen on a day-to-day basis, but most often go unremarked upon. The global spread of Occupy, of the Arab Spring, these are networked revolutions. The power of social media, I think, is really important in terms of getting people together, allowing people to articulate things, and allowing people to organise events. Where do we go from here? If you want to achieve lasting change, it takes much more than one-off protests. It's about sustained, thankless, hard work on a daily basis. That is when you start to have sort of changes.